Alexander was a spoiled playboy, so I stepped up as the CEO of Hughes Corporation in his place. Under my leadership, the company flourished. At a celebration for a major project, Alexander showed up with his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Scarlett. Marrying a commoner like you was just settling. Now that Scarlett and I have rekindled our relationship, the mother of my child deserves to run Hughes Corp. You're fired, so get lost. I glanced at my in-laws, who seemed hesitant to speak. With a sigh, I said, you don't have the authority to fire me. I'll give you one last chance, have her terminate the pregnancy and cut ties with her. Then we can still be a family. Everyone laughed, thinking I was delusional for trying to cling to my position. I just smiled calmly. You're right, I do have the qualifications to keep this job. 1. After I spoke, the ballroom full of socialites fell silent for a moment. Then the guests erupted in chatter. Mrs. Hughes must have lost her mind. Without the Hughes family, she'd be nothing. What nonsense is she spouting? We shouldn't even call her Mrs. Hughes anymore. She's just a cast-off wife now, back to being a nobody. Olivia, why don't you just accept it gracefully? The child was never going to have your surname anyway. Since you're not the birth mother, what does it matter? Just be happy to play stepmom. Amidst the mockery, Alexander frowned at me with his usual air of superiority. Olivia, don't try to act tough. You don't have that privilege anymore. Without me, you're nothing. Looking at his handsome, aristocratic face, I recalled our years of passion and intimacy. My heart ached despite everything. 3 years of marriage, and you toss me aside so easily. You even want to force me out of the company. Have you thought about how to explain this to your parents? Alexander's expression turned cold, disgust flashing in his eyes. If you hadn't shamelessly sucked up to my parents back then, do you think you could have married me? But we're from different worlds. I can't stand being with you anymore. What right do you have to be CEO of Hughes Corp? My parents will take my side, of course. Is that so? I folded my arms, my tone neutral. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Seeing my confidence, the guests were taken aback. Does Mrs. Hughes have some kind of trump card up her sleeve? Come to think of it, Hughes Corp was just a regular company before. In the 3 years since she took over, its value has multiplied several times over. That's right, not to mention this billion-dollar project. Even if the company did nothing else, they could coast on this success for years. As praise for me started to spread, Scarlett couldn't stay calm any longer. She snorted derisively. No matter how capable you are, you're still just an employee. Once you're fired, you're worth less than dirt. Know your place, you're not like us who were born lucky. I ignored Scarlett's acidic remarks and asked Alexander seriously, is that how you see it too? Perhaps recalling my intense work ethic, Alexander's gaze held a hint of pity. Firing you is my decision, and it's final. Look, I'll give you $100,000 for a clean break. I found it absurd. You think $100,000 covers 3 years of my life? Just this billion-dollar project alone is worth 100 times that. Alexander scoffed dismissively. You think that's unfair? But what right do you have to talk about fairness? Olivia, you should remember you never signed a contract. So even if I kick you out without a cent, that's my prerogative. If you're smart, you'll take the money and leave quietly. At these words, everyone turned to look at me. Their gazes, sympathetic, surprised, gloating, nearly overwhelmed me. I could only shake my head ruefully. Back then, I thought I was working for my own family's company, so I hadn't insisted on a contract. I never imagined Alexander would want Scarlett to replace me. Scarlett was his first love. Years ago, when Hughes Corp was struggling, she had ruthlessly abandoned him. She'd been silent all these years, but now that I'd put the company on the right track, she came running back. It was clear she was here to reap the benefits. I despised how Alexander could be so blind, treating me so cruelly for a woman who once abandoned him. Anger welled up inside me, and I spoke in a cold, stern voice. Alexander, you don't